Hello everybody, it's Cap Corgi here. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. It is an auspicious day. It's a pretty big day here. There is a game. I've covered it many times on this YouTube channel and on Twitch as well. If you guys, don't know, I do stream on Twitch every single night. It's called Ashes of Creation. It's an MMO. I've been following this MMO for about 2 years. And today it releases on Steam. Now, I've talked about this in great detail. I talked about my worries about the Steam release and everything like that, like why I think it might be a bit too early. Why I'm a little bit worried about like what'll happen with the Steam release for Ashes of Creation. It's happening. Whether it is going to work out completely 100% the best or not. It is happening, and I did talk about it in great detail here. So if you guys want to watch that video, I will link in the description below. It's a very fair video. I talk about it as a player who's played 500 hours of the game, someone who is a fan of the game, someone who wants the game to succeed. There's no, like, haterism on my end or anything like that. Kind of pretty much the exact opposite. But I'm also not, like, someone who is going to not tell you the flaws of the game straight up. That being said, the game is coming out officially, absolutely 100% coming out, and we will be seeing what Intrepid Games has been cooking in Ashes of Creation for the Steam release, because they have been apparently working a lot. There's a lot of detail in their PTR, and I wanted to create a new player's guide, basically from my perspective as a 500-hour player of Ashes of Creation. Probably more than that, but the launcher does not record like Steam does how long you play a game. I'm estimating 500, probably closer to like 600-700 or something like that. I played this game a lot. I played every single class at least a little bit. I have experienced pretty much every phase of the game at least a little bit. I've been part of every single every single alpha, at least a little bit, every phase of the alpha. So we're going to describe what our thoughts are. We're going to talk about what I think is important, and there's a lot of important things. So we're gonna cover a little bit everything, and I'm going to try to do this in a very unique way, guys. I'm going to try to do this with as few spoilers as possible. So if you guys like that kind of discussion, please let me know this in the comments below. I have not experienced everything there is to experience in the brand new PTR. So all I can really tell you is my experience as an actual player for quite a long time. But there is an absolute boatload, a plethora of things to cover. From the classes to the character creation system to the actual gameplay and everything between, what I think is important, your first steps into starting Ashes of Creation, and I think it'll be a relatively important thing for you guys. So we're going to do this very broad bone, so we're not going to go into the weeds too much, and I want you guys to have fun. I want you guys to experience the game, and these are just some like guiding principles, some like things to keep in mind. This is the gameplay in the background. This is the very first steps when you are launching Ashes of Creation. Now, there was one step that is not in this video, because this video is from many, many months ago. I think it was probably, it was actually, probably about 8-9 months ago was this video. But yeah, regardless, the one scene that you didn't see was you can pick which region you're going to be spawning into. There are two regions. One is the Riverlands, which is this region that you'll be seeing gameplay of in the background, and the other region is the Anvils. The Anvils are the Riverlands is like the human area, humans and elves and stuff. It's very much like the Riverlands. The word of the Riverlands says it is an area with a lot of luscious land, a lot of green, a lot of various types of mini biomes in it, but very temperate climate. There's many different sections in the game. There is a desert, there's a tropical island area, there's the Anvils themselves. The Anvils is the dwarf area. That is where various kinds of dwarves are, and you spawn in a basically like if you can imagine Lord of the Rings, Mines of Moria, it has that feel. You spawn in underground. You spawn in underground. You see these giant dwarf fortifications everywhere. You're running on the dwarven walls that are built underground, and you move on from there, and then you go out into the open world after like level 5 or so. And this is the Riverlands beginning. So you start out. You're in this like fortification in the background, and then you can choose one of 2 paths. I'll go back. And I'll at least describe these 2 paths. So this little fountain area, this is the first demarcation. You can go to the right or to the left, and it's a pretty linear path. You won't really get lost. It is possible that you can get lost, but it's quite difficult to get lost. Most people go the right path, mainly because this path was the one that was finished first as a new player experience. But the left path is viable. I did the left path on my most recent character that I made. I made a bard just for funsies about about a month ago, and I took the left path. And I can tell you that it is a fully fleshed out early game experience in terms of the same number of quests, the same types of things you do. It has a quest where you get your horse. It has a quest where you get your your first crafting equipment, and so on and so forth. Now, the guiding principles from this game are that you start out with whatever class you choose. We'll do a broad-based thing for the classes. Speaking of, if there's any subject you want me to get deeper into, let me know that in the comments below. I want to know exactly what you guys want to know about. Right now, I can only guess. I can only give you a broad base, this is kind of the things that you want to keep in mind as you're playing Ashes of Creation. With as few spoilers as possible. I'm not going to tell you quest endings here. I'm not going to tell you oh yeah, do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you'll get level 10, then you go to this area. This is not one of those kinds of guides. If you want one of those kinds of guides, I can help, make one of those kinds of guides at some point, for sure. But this is not one of those. I want this to be, Ashes is a really immersive game. And one of the best parts of it is exploring and experiencing the world. This world is very, very, beautiful in terms of not only the graphics, but also the detail put into the finished areas of the world. Now, I can tell you one thing. Immediately, Riverlands is the most complete area. So if you want the most complete experience with all of the freshest quests, and the quest lines that are most likely to be fully complete, even though the lack of quests is kind of like the biggest weakness of the game. The Riverlands is the place to be, for sure. The Riverlands, because of its temperate nature, is right in the middle of the map. From the Riverlands, you can go north to the islands. You can go south to the desert. You can go southwest to the jungle. Forgot about that. The jungle. Because of its central location and the fact that it was the first area that most people have experienced playing the game, most of the footage takes place in this area. Most people are going to go to the Riverlands. So if you want to do, more grouping, if you want to meet with people more, and so on and so forth, the Riverlands is the place to be. It will be the most complete experience as well. So I will be making characters both in the Riverlands and the Anvils. I'm a dwarf guy. I like dwarves, Lord of the Rings and all of those. Every single fantasy world ever, dwarves are my top tier. This guy, this is an example of a dwarf. So the character models are a little wonky sometimes, but it depends on which character race you're making. There are, I think, 7-8 races so far. They have not added all of them in the game. Also, there is no racial bonus or debuff. World of Warcraft, orcs have 15% stun resist, and, at least in Classic, and so on and so forth. There is none of that in Ashes of Creation yet. It is absolutely planned. It is something they're going to work on. It is something that is in zero way implemented in the game at this point. Not a bad thing, it's just something to keep in mind. So if you're trying to min-max stats and skills and stuff like that, don't bother. Just pick whatever looks best to you, whatever thing you think will, give you the best, feel of playing the game. I want to be a dwarf warrior. I want to be a djinn-style cleric, or, you know, a wizard. A bard that uses magic, and, you know, maybe like a tropical dwarf, because there is a special tropical dwarf, as opposed to, like, you know, the underground mining dwarves. There's a lot of different races, and you can pick a little flavor background, which apparently will have an effect later on, but right now it's just for flavor. This is the first person you really talk to. This is like the starting town that you see in the background. There are starting towns. There's 4 total starting towns. This is the one that most people will be going to, because this was the first one finished. The left side, the fork that I told you about earlier, will have another starting town. And the Anvils has 2 starting towns, one going this way, one going that way, as well. So, you know, you will have that same experience no matter which area you go to. Now, how complete the Anvils will be, I don't know. So if you want, you know, the full complete experience with all these breadcrumb quests leading you from one thing to the other, one event to the other, then you will have to probably go this route that I'm saying in the Riverlands to this particular town called Lionhold. Now, this is something to keep in mind. Right here, you see this little flavor text. This is how you know someone has a quest for you. You have to pay attention to the world. You have to pay attention to the NPCs around you, which is really cool, something I love about this game, and something I want them to lean much more into, and it seems like they will from all their development blogs, where, you know, it won't tell you, like, it won't have, like, a giant exclamation point over their head, like World of Warcraft, where it'll say, like, this guy has a quest. Right now, this is just flavor text. This woman is watching passers-by with a sharp eye. She's already looked at you over once or twice. Something like that. That little flavor text. This NPC has noticed you. You know, you're being looked at with a discerning eye. An NPC is calling at you for help. You know, these types of flavor texts are like beckoning you over, just by virtue of what they're saying and why and how. So if I talked to her, I would get a quest. I didn't end up doing that in this run, but I was just, right now in this run, I was just chilling with chat and just, like, you know, yapping and doing, I've already done all the breadcrumb quests, at least that were in the game at this point, so I just didn't bother doing it again. But you know, this is one, this official Talahad, this is not a spoiler, but this is a quest you want to do. She'll give you a quest called Sweat of Your Brow. Actually, sorry, this is the intro quest, not Sweat of Your Brow. This quest, I forgot the name. Let's see what the name is. I am not able to time this right. I zoomed through this, huh? Okay, Welcome to Vera. That's the name of this quest. It kind of tells you how to find a respawn point. It gives you some early game potions and so on. Now, apparently, according to players who played on the PTR, I did not have time. I have to take care of my dad who's recovering from heart surgery. So there's some parts that I missed. There is a lot of stuff that I've not been able to experience in the PTR. But according to people that have played the PTR, they've completely revamped the early game. So there might be a lot of new things that I've not been able to cover in this that might be a lot better and easier for the new game experience. According to a lot of people and according to the devs themselves, they've really honed in and focused hard on making the levels 1 through 10 experience, and right now there's a level cap of 25, as smooth and easy for, not easy, but, like, you know, as smooth and, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Curated as possible. So you can actually go through all the breadcrumb quests. You'll get a set of items. You'll get a set of gear. You'll get some, you know, crafting gear, you know, like mining pickaxe and so on and so forth. You'll get a horse, which, you know, was in the game at this point as well. You'll get all these things by virtue of playing the early game experience. Now, one thing that has never been in the game that they did out on PTR is something called the Destiny board. It'll be one of these little tags down here at the bottom right. This will be like mini achievements that will actually give you in-game rewards. This can be anything ranging from health potions to in-game currency, like the money that you use to buy equipment and so on and so forth, to, you know, crafting bags and everything in between. So there's a whole bunch of new little breadcrumbs that are, you know, actually linked to the various activities that the game is trying to guide you to do and essentially teach you how to do. Kind of like a guided individual tutorial that you can complete anytime. So this is like, you know, it'll tell you like revive a down player, or you know, if maybe there's class specific ones for like a cleric, I don't know, or you know, activate an Ember Shrine, which is your respawn point, or you know, PvP someone. Who knows what exactly will be encompassed in all of those things. I have not seen the Destiny board myself, so I cannot tell you what is or is not covered. I'll always tell it to you straight, what I do know and what I don't know. Regardless, it is good that this exists, because, you know, this will help flesh out that early game for those early game struggles. The levels 1 through 10, when gear is pretty hard to find, because the gear drops are not like World of Warcraft. If you're expecting that you're going to find greens by level 10 by just grinding mobs, brother, it's not going to happen. I can just tell you that right now. Crafting is a very, very integral part of this game, and it is something that I think still needs work, especially for the early games. Hopefully they work on it more, but it is something that is very integral into getting your character geared. In order to make a level 1 set of crafted gear, it is so much easier now than it was when I played this game 8 months ago. They have gone through iterations of all kinds in order to figure out like how to make the experience smooth for low levels, but still like challenging and interesting and an end game viable product for, and activity for the late game people who's, you know, they want to be a crafter, and they you know, crafting gear is something that they have as a pillar that they want it to be on par with raid gear and so on. So, if not better in some ways. So that is a major thing. That is a major thing. That is like a big design pillar, and one that they had not really succeeded on. But I will say, the past 3 months, the crafting was a lot better than previous. So you can now viably go through the early game, get to about level 6 or so, 5 or 6, and have enough materials to at least make a few parts of crafted gear. A weapon, maybe 2 weapons, because you have a melee weapon and a range weapon at all times. You know, various things like that. So these are very, very important things to know. It is very helpful to focus on at least a little bit of crafting just to get some parts, a chest piece, a helmet, whatever the Destiny board and the early game quest will not give you. Because the Destiny board and early game quest will give you some things. Don't know what. Maybe it'll just give you a pair of boots. Maybe it'll just gloves. Maybe it's weapons. Who knows? I don't know. But whatever it doesn't give you, you might want to fill out those other slots with a little bit of crafting. Now, this is the other thing to know. This little board here with the green top, this is the commission board. This is your best friend. These are repeatable quests that are extremely, you know, simple to do. Go to this overlook and just look at it. And, you know, you walk up to it, you will auto-complete the quest. Destroy the undead in the killing fields near Lion Hold. It'll highlight this area on your map that is called the killing fields. It'll show you kind of like the general vicinity of where it is. You go there, you find the undead, you bonk 20 of them, and you complete the quest. And it'll auto-complete. You have to go to your journal, you have to actually press the complete button. So you can complete it all at one time if you have like an experience boost and stuff as well, which is really, really cool. Any of these green ones that say like kill Fang the Terror and so on, these are like elite mobs. So you will probably not be able to solo these, just to keep that in mind. But the game is designed to not be only soloable. You are supposed to be playing with other people whenever you need to do an elite quest. Kind of like, in this case, World of Warcraft. I will be making a lot of comparisons to WoW because it is the MMO that I played the most. I played many MMOs. I played, I would say, maybe like 3 dozen MMOs in my life. Maybe more, maybe like 50. Who knows? I've never counted. I've never been depressed enough to count them all. I've put a lot of time into a lot of MMOs. But I can tell you, at World of Warcraft is probably the one that people know the most. So I'll be making most of my comparisons to that, as well as the one I know the most. So you can liken these blue and greens, generally, not always, to especially if they have a named character, Baron of Bainswood, The Tormented Memorial Spirit, Fang the Road Terror. These are names that are named mobs, and those are generally elite mobs. And I'll show you how to demark in your mind which ones are elite and which ones are not. Now, the other thing before we continue, so yeah, I would recommend, there's two types of commission boards. One is like the quest-style commission board, which are like, go here, kill this mob, get these items, beat this guy up, so on and so forth. And then there's another commission board, which is, just down the road. They're right next to each other. Is the commission board where you're farming up certain materials. It'll say, get 20 granite. Deliver 20 pieces of wood to the commission box. And the commission box will be like literally a little box right next to the board. And then you can just stick the item in there if you get up. Farm up 20 fish. Things like that. Those are very easy to do. Sometimes it can be a pain in the ass if you don't know what the material is. There are multiple types of trees in the game, for example. You might be like, what the hell is Eastern Hemlock? And you just whack different kinds of trees until you figure it out what it is visually. So that you can get a total of 30 quests in your quest journal, and most of them will probably be filled up with quests like these commissions. And I would say, don't worry about focusing on these quests. Focus on the actual narrative quests from the NPCs that I told you about. Those quests will give you generally better rewards, and also will be, showing you actual, areas of the game that they want you to go to. Things that they want you to do. Learn mechanics that they want you to learn. Learn what an elite area is. Figure out these types of things. That is what those quests kind of do. The Sweat of Your Brow quest, it used to give you your first set of crafting tools. Your pickaxe, your lumberjacking axe, and your herbalism scythe. And it no longer does that. I think you start with like a crappy pair. It will, the Sweat of Your Brow quest will allow you to upgrade those and be like, a decent level of farming tool now. So that is what they're going to be changing, that Sweat of Your Brow quest. But that quest is right here. You can get it at level 2. Extremely easy to do. I think level 1 actually. Absolutely recommend to do that. Regardless, going back to it, there's one thing I wanted to point out. The very first thing you will do in any of the starting areas, this is as soon as you spawn in. So my character has just spawned in. I'm swinging. We talk to this guy. He's the very first quest giver that we see. This is the area that I spawned in at. That big blue portal in the background. That commander will give you the quest with the little book symbol. Say, hey, go down and go to Lionhold or the other place, I forgot the name of it, and experience your first steps in Vera. So that's easy. But what I wanted to talk about is you will only be equipped with whatever primary weapon type is possible that your character spawns with. If you're a fighter, it'll be this Zweihander style greatsword. If you're a bard, I think it'll be the magic book. If you're if you're a cleric, it'll be a one-handed scepter. So on and so forth. So all of these weapons make sense for the character. However, every character can equip one melee and one range, and it can be any weapon type. So if you want to be a fighter that is using a longsword and a set of 2 daggers, you can do that. If you want to be a rogue wielding a greatsword, you can do that. If you want to be a wizard that has like a sword and shield and a magic book or whatever as a secondary that you kind of use as your big primary range attack, you can do that as well. You can really pick and choose whatever weapon type you want. Now, I would recommend you pay attention to whether the weapon is doing physical or magical damage, because every weapon in the game has a physical version and a magical version. And at level 1, you'll have to pick and choose. So basically, I have this Zweihander, or I call it this Zweihander. This is a greatsword. Right here, you can see there are little areas in the ground with this white dot. And this is where you pick up the level 1 version of several different weapon types. There is a set of daggers, There is, and it's going to be like called, unadorned daggers. It's going to be called like, rusty longsword. There's a one-handed longsword. There's going to be some like half-broken shield or whatever. It's all like dog shit versions of every weapon. Not every weapon, but like most early game weapons. There's no short bow. Short bow is like shorter range but faster attack speed. But there is a long bow. And that longbow is a physical longbow. The book is a magical book, but you can still equip it, so you can level up the book if you want. And the book has some AoE in it, so it's not a bad idea. Every weapon has its own leveling up perk tree. So you have 3 different perk trees in the game. One is the character perk tree, as in your archetype. That is your class. For this case, I'm playing a fighter in the background. So your fighter, as soon as you level up, you get a fighter skill point, and you can put that skill point into, whatever set of skills. Then you have the weapon one. So the great sword will have its own little perk tree, and then the talent tree, I think, skill tree, talent tree. What people call it different things. And then your stamina, which is related to dodging, blocking, and sprinting, will have its own perk tree. And the one with the least work done on it, this is said by the devs themselves, is the weapon trees. Each weapon has one, but they're a little lackluster. They kind of give you like, a bleed bonus. They'll help you, you'll determine whether you want to do more shorter combos or longer combos, and so on and so forth. Nothing too crazy with that. It's pretty easy to figure out, but if you guys want a detailed guide on that, let me know, and we'll make a detailed guide for those types of things as and how you want. So I'm going around picking up one set of everything. So I picked up a rusty greatsword, a rusty longsword. I picked up the shield. I hadn't decided what I want this character to wield yet. So I just picked up one of everything. Scepter, which is like a mace. There's the shield and a musty spell book. So on and so forth. And so I would recommend, just like I'm doing, walk around and get one of everything. It's completely free. You can't sell them. You can only destroy them in your inventory when you get something better. So it's not like you can farm them up forever or something like that. It's just to give you player choice. What do you want your character to use at the beginning of the game? And the game lets you fail as well. If your character is a bard and you're doing magical damage, and you equip physical damage, primary weapon, secondary weapon, melee and range, you're going to be doing a lot less damage than if you use the magic version. And it tells you right here. So this is physical, shield, which is fine. That's easy. But this is the Rusty Scepter. It'll show magical power rating, magical casting speed. So if I wanted to use this as a fighter, I could, but it won't really do much for me. I won't be really getting the magical power stat or casting speed to help my character at all because I'm a physical fighter. I scale with physical damage. But it at least gives me the choice if I want to use the scepter to get, like, the scepter is better at doing, stuns and so on and so forth. Then I could use it if I really want to. The game will allow you to do it. It's not going to lock you out. But definitely pay attention to, magical power and versus physical power. At the beginning of the game, you just have to worry about this. When you're crafting items, you can make a physical or magical version of any weapon. If you are a wizard, a mage, sorry, I call them wizards. If you're a mage and you want a longsword, you can make a magic longsword. And instead of having physical power rating and physical crit chance, I think, physical attack speed, it'll have magical power and magical casting speed. So you can still use the weapon type you want, but it has a magic version that you could use if you're a magic caster. So very, very handy for that. Very, very handy for that. Now, in terms of actual classes, we're not going to go too deep into this. I will link this in the description below. But there are 8 different character base classes. There will be multi-classing later on, but multi-classing is a thing that is not implemented in the game and won't be implemented for quite a long time. And I have various levels of experience with each of these. I do have experience with a lot of these. And I have considerable experience with all of them, at least. But Summoner just came out, so I have the least amount of experience with this. But I can tell you one thing, Summoner's fucking busted. Might be the strongest class in the game. If you want the easy road, you want the most overpowered class, the one that has not had the balance pass yet, and they're tuned down the numbers or whatever, I would say choose Summoner. You have your own pet. You can have a tank pet, a DPS pet, a healing pet, and you can kind of solo a lot of content that you shouldn't be able to solo. Extremely good sustain, extremely good everything. Summoner is fucking busted. Now, it is also a really cool class. So it's not like I'm saying just play the busted class or anything like that. I would never do that. But I can tell you, it is strong. It is also a lot of fun to play. Pets are pretty useful. They're really easy to use. Very intuitive. A little bit like WoW pets. You can tell it to move places. You can tell there are different weapon... there are different class types. You're still using your own skills, so it's a very active class. It's not like, Beast Mastery Hunter in World of Warcraft, where you're just like, every so often using a different sting or a different magic shot or whatever, and your cat, your dog, or your wolf or whatever is doing most of the work. It's not like that. Thank goodness. So that's a big thing. Now, Tank is one of the most unfortunately named characters in the game, character classes. It is the character that has the taunt abilities and so on. It is the only class that has bona fide taunt abilities. So if you want to be tanking in dungeons and so on, you have to play the tank. Now, the upside is tank is very fun. It is a very cool class to play. You will feel very tanky. You have a lot of utility. You do a considerable amount of DPS as well. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with the tank. However, the tank is called the tank, which is such a weird name. I think it's like one of the biggest issues that it's like so easy to fix. We've had some ideas in my previous video. People were saying, why not just call it Ironclad or, something like that. Aegis was another idea. I think both of those would be really, really good, but they call it the tank. I would say, and I'll go to the each page. So we talked about verifying human. Okay, let me verify. I think there will be a picture of the summoner pets. I'm doing these out of order, but and I'll tell you which ones I have the most experience with. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it does show you the pets. So this is the concept art for the pets. There's a little video that's like a 30-second intro onto what the summoner is. This is the tank pet. This is the Healy pet. This is the DPS pet. So there's many different types of abilities with it. It's very magic-y, so you'll be scaling with magic damage, and you can only have one pet active at a time. It's a really cool class, absolutely. But it is definitely the one I played barely any of. Barely any of. I played a little bit, thought it was really good, but I haven't, fully fleshed it out. This is the tank. For some reason, the page is not loading particularly well. Maybe it's because everyone... It is 2 hours before the game launches on Steam, so everyone's probably watching this page at the same time. So the tank, you want a one-handed weapon and a shield. Always, pretty much. You can go like, a great sword tank or something, but you will be missing out on a lot of mitigation from the shield, and a lot of your abilities use the shield. It'll use your shield stats to do things. It'll have like a way to block and so on and so forth. So, also, very important to note for the tank, and something that I really dislike, it might be my least favorite part of the tank, is that there is a passive component to blocking, but it is the least used. There's an active component to blocking. You have to hold, I think it is it the R button? I forgot which button. And you bring up your shield, or you can go into a block stance with your weapon. It is very good at mitigating damage. Even if you're using like a two-handed greatsword or whatever, it'll still mitigate some damage. And the swing timers are quite accurate in terms of visually, so you can tell when a big hit is coming. You can tell when an enemy is about to strike you. But the game is much more active block based than it is passive block based. Me as a WoW player, and I was playing many other MMOs, I prefer passive block, definitely. But it is something that they've been very adamant about, that they prefer the active block system. Now, not being good at parries in general, it's just my least favorite thing to do in a Dark Souls game. I'll always go a dodgy build or something, as opposed to a big shield tanky build. Where you're trying to parry, you're trying to, weed out parries and stuff. That is the thing I do the least in any game. And this is no exception. I'm very bad at active blocking. But even being bad at active blocking, I can still be a really good tank. So you don't have to use that as a requirement, but definitely something to just keep in mind. Now, I played a lot of the tank. Very fun class. You don't feel like a wet noodle. You used to, but they did a pretty good revamp of the class, and it feels very, very good. Now, the next class another class that I have not played as much, the Ranger. The Ranger is your, range DPS bow user. A lot of your abilities are based around the bow, short bow or long bow. You're probably going to be using a bow, and you do have you can use a melee weapon as a backup if something gets you in your face. But you have a lot of repositioning with your abilities. You have a lot. Okay, so the skills just don't even show up on the page. Oh no, they do. I had to scroll down. So you like airstrike is you jump backwards and you shoot down on the ground. There's a lot of like repositioning. There's a lot of shots. There's a lot of traps. There's a lot of CCs, as in snares and chills. And a little bit of utility here and there. So, Ranger is, pretty fun to play. A lot of people play it because if you're really good at, playing Ranger, you can, level up really, really fast by virtue of being ranged and by virtue of having good range damage. And, being ranged does kind of break a lot of enemies in the game. In terms of, they'll do the most damage to you when they get up in your face. So, by virtue of that, Ranger is pretty darn good. Now, the strongest DPS class in the game is the Mage. The Mage is absolutely busted. It is so good and so cool to play. I don't even like casting characters generally, but the Ashes of Creation Mage is really fucking fun. You have 3 element types. You have frost, lightning, and fire. And each one can be upgraded. And then you have arcane. Arcane is like, it's not really a specific, it's not like a chill, it's not like a lightning, it's not like a shock, it's not like a fire dot or anything like that. Arcane is just like its own thing. And all of these abilities, a lot of them can change based upon which debuff you put on the enemy mob with your abilities. So if you use fire damage and you cause the burning status effect, which is a dot, you can upgrade that status effect by, in this case, using the combust spell, which will apply conflagrate. Conflagrate will take the burning dot and upgrade it for like 4 seconds, and it'll proc a lot faster and do more damage, and then it'll run out. So your abilities synergize with each other. And not only that, your abilities synergize with the debuffs that other people have put on the mob as well. If you so there's a cool thing where if you freeze an enemy, or if you make them super chilled and frozen, you can then use a lightning spell to shatter them. There's an ability called Shatter. And that's like a big bop of damage, supremely bursty, and probably one of the best used, probably the most used way of playing the Mage. Freeze a whole bunch of things and then shatter them all with a chain lightning. That is a very, very common way to play the Mage. Now, if you don't want to do that, you don't have the skill points, you want to go into fire mostly, but you still want to be able to shatter things when someone else does it, you can do that. You don't have to go frost spell. You can wait for, if you're playing with a friend who is playing another wizard or whatever, they can have the frost spell. They can apply chill, they can freeze, and then you can shatter. Or, if you're playing with a cleric, he can apply burning, and you can make that burning into a conflagrate, and vice versa. So really cool that every character can apply and proc other people's debuffs. Something to keep in mind. The Mage is extremely, mobile. You have Blink, you have freezes, you have snares. Blink is, an instant teleport right here. Breaks all rooting. You have pretty good survivability with your shield. You have a mage shield, and that stops you from taking some damage. And you're able to kite things very well with your chilling effect. So just like Frost Mage in World of Warcraft, Mage can do that, but it can also do other things at the same time. In World of Warcraft, you kind of had to focus on Arcane or Fire or Frost. In Ashes of Creation, you can kind of do all three at the same time with just a couple of skill points, changed and swapped around. And Something to keep in mind, something I didn't say, all skill points are interchangeable at any time. If you put your skills, say you want to go supremely fire dot mage, and you put everything into every fire skill, and maybe some utility, maybe you have like one frost skill or whatever, and then you're like, man, I don't like this. You can go to your talent tree anytime, whenever you're not in combat, and just swap them out, and right click to take out a point and then put into something else. Anytime. Super easy, does not cost any gold, does not cost anything, period. One of the best parts of this game. Oh my god, absolute genius. It's something so basic, but something very, very few games do. I wish every game did that. But yeah, Mage, super good. I played it a good amount. Highly recommend. And then the Bard. The Bard is a support class. So it has a lot of buffs. It has a lot of utility. It has a lot of things that affect mobs, causes debuffs, buffs your own team, gives them attack speed, gives them on hit, gives them some healing, some mana regen. Mana regen is very important in this game, and Bard gets it, and it can give it to anyone in your party very, very easily. However, the Bard also does some pretty darn good damage. It can do darn good damage. It has, extra damage done to frozen targets, so it procs the debuffs as well. You can apply things like silencing to enemies to stop them from doing things, which is super helpful. You can do, good amounts of damage with skills like Discordance. It is a very, very versatile class, and you can do a lot of things where you're doing damage and healing kind of almost at the same time. It's a very active class, so you have to use your various things at different times. So, hymns versus dances versus this. There's different things that the Bard does, and you can mix and match them for varying effects. So you can, use one ability to do some damage. It'll apply a damage over time, and a pop back, so you can pop them enemies back while you're cutting them backwards, and you can put yourself heal over time at the same time. It's things like that the Bard can do. A little bit more of a jack of all trades. It's not really the best healing. It's not really the best at sustain. It's not really the best at damage. It's just kind of good at everything. And it's super fun to play. I recommend, if you're not married to any class, honestly, try the Bard. It scales with magic. I should probably tell you which ones scale with magic. Summoner scale with magic. Tank scaled with physical. Ranger scales with physical. Mage scales with magic. And Bard scales with magic. So those are the ones that scale with magic and physical so far. But I can tell you, I played a good amount of Bard. It's probably my 4th most played class, and I like it a lot. Absolutely, I like it a lot. Tank is my 3rd most played. Cleric is my 2nd most played. Fighter is my most played. And Rogue is probably tied with Tank for my 4th most played. Bard's super good. Highly recommend. And really fun. So then the next class that I'm going to cover is the Rogue. The Rogue is the 2nd most recent class that they added to the game. And by virtue to that, it had a lot of work done on it that, the Fighter and, the earlier classes have not really had a pass of yet. So the Rogue, just like the Summoner, is very strong and has a lot of different things to it. Rogue is very, it's the only class that can stealth, so that's one thing. But the Rogue also has a lot of single target damage, and that single target damage can be made a little bit into AoE. It has a lot of mobility. It has a grapple hook, which is really fucking fun to use. You can imagine it's used like Spider-Man, tossing out his web and, jumping up and everything like that. Super good. Super good. You can use it against enemies. Trip is a stun. Trip you can consider as like a mini stun. Like a 1-second stun is called a trip. It is a hard crowd control, so, if something's casting something, it'll interrupt that, so on and so forth. The grapple hook is used more often out of combat, so in combat, in order to proc the trip and act as a gap closer, it's a longer cooldown. But if you want to use it to, jump onto mountains and stuff, you can use it far more often. It is so fucking cool. You can stealth, and you can upgrade your stealth to give you heals and stuff. It is a bit of a combo system, but not exactly. Basically, abilities in the rogue either add or use a thing called advantage. And you know, you're either building advantage or using advantage. You can build advantage in a few different ways, and you know, very, very clearly tells you what will make you gain advantage right here. Gain advantage, what you're looking for. And then pretty much most of the abilities, I would say like 80% of the abilities on the rogue will consume advantage to do something extra. Sometimes it's extra bonus damage. Sometimes it'll make an ability that is normally, just a single target do AoE. So like this one consumes advantage to hit all targets in the frontal range instead of just like a normal, like this one is just one person it'll hit. But if you have advantage, you'll hit everyone in front of you, and so on and so forth. And you can spec the rogue into, really focusing on poisons. You can spec the rogue into focusing on like melee combos. So like more of like a combat rogue from World of Warcraft. You can spec the rogue into being very utility oriented, so lots of slows and chills and trips and silences and stuff. Or you can spec the rogue into, a few of each. You can also spec the rogue into a lot of backstab damage. So, you know, that very much like what's it called? I forgot it was the first tree in World of Warcraft. Not assassination, not combat. It wasn't called stealthy. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, the one that did like, you know, big ambush damage and so on. But yeah, obviously big burst, but less consistent damage on that type of rogue. But you can do a little bit of everything. You got cool like smoke bomb abilities. You can throw weapons. You got all kinds of cool stuff like that. Very fun class. Very active class. Extremely high skill cap, in my opinion. I would consider Rogue probably to be the most high skill cap class in the game. And I would say Bard might be like slightly less skill cappy than the Rogue, but still pretty skill cappy. A good Bard versus a bad Bard is very easy to tell. A good Rogue versus a bad Rogue, very easy to tell. My second most played class, and like I said, these are just broad strokes. I'm not telling you exactly what to do or what not to do. Cleric. Cleric is what amounts to the Paladin. You can be a healy one, or you can be a damagey one. And the damagey one is not very good at damaging, but you can still do some good DPS. And also, it's really good at sustain. You can sustain like crazy on the Cleric. So what I like to do is go, a magical two-handed greatsword or something, two-handed weapon, and go to town with weapon combo abilities, and proc what amounts to fire damage, and make that fire damage into conflagration using my bless weapon. You can bless your here it is. You can bless your weapon to do fire damage with every hit. And the faster you hit, the more fire damage you do. So, if you go really fast greatsword or something like that, you can proc a considerable amount of fire damage. And every weapon attack that is a melee weapon has AoE. So do keep that in mind as well. If you want to proc, if you want to, group up a whole bunch of 4 or 5 weak mobs and AoE them down with your weapon abilities and so on and so forth, the Cleric is really good at doing that because you can easily pop very quick heals on yourself while doing some AoE and some fire damage and using your weapon combo attacks to kind of just do a whole bunch of small amounts of damage or smaller amounts of damage to everything around you. Very, very good at that. Something I like to do a lot of, AoE farming, because that was something I did a lot of on in World of Warcraft. I used to go prot pally even in vanilla WoW when it was absolute dog shit, simply because I could AoE farm weak mobs very easily. Very, very fun to do. Very, very fun to do. This is the primary healing class. Bard can also heal extremely well. Summoner can also now heal, but Summoner is very new. So Summoner can be a primary, or more like a secondary-ish, but in some ways a primary healer as well. Cleric, their best job is healing. They are so fucking good at healing, and you can out-heal a lot of damage. One Cleric is more than enough to heal, with a Bard with you, you can heal an 8-person party pretty darn easily with just those two characters. And you have a good amount of magic mana regen on your character as well because of your blessed weapon. Every time you weapon combo ability, you will give yourself some mana as well. They are not the most damagey character in the game. They're also the only character, I think, that can resurrect, at least so far. So that is a big thing to know about the cleric. Very fun character, by the way. I'm not generally a healer player, but I can tell you, playing my pseudo damagey cleric, my mostly damagey cleric, there are damage spells. The one that you get at the very beginning is Smite, and the one that you can spec into at level 2 immediately is called Judgment. Where is Judgment? I can't find it. Don't know why I can't find it. But, yeah, you can basically, it's like this giant, one single target, really long 5-second cooldown cast, 5-second cast time of Judgment. But you can, make it go faster with your class resource. Every class has a resource. Some of them are more useful and active than others. And Cleric is very easy. You can spec very early on whether you want that class resource to make your magic cost less or your spells to go faster. As I play solo a lot, being faster is more useful than the mana sustain because you don't have too many problems with mana sustain. But, if you're being in parties and stuff, going the one that, gives you magic regen a bit more is maybe a bit more useful. Depends on how you want to play. But Smite is an insta-cast, Judgment is a long cast. Both of those are your first damage abilities. Then you can have, shooting a wave of light out. You can stun anything that's on fire. You can have, a big AoE that does healing to anyone around it. But also damages enemies around it as well. So you can do all kinds of cool things like that do both damage and healing at the same time. Love the Cleric, actually. I actually really enjoy it. My favorite class, I was a warrior main in World of Warcraft. Anything that's a berserker style, fighter, warrior, that kind of knight kind of feel is my jam. So fighter is my favorite class. It is my most played class. It is a class that I make every single wipe and is the one that I'm probably going to level to max level before any other class is leveled. Fighter, I have an entire breakdown on the fighter's abilities back when they first announced the fighter. So if you want that, let me know and I will link it in the description below as well. But I can tell you, fighter is not, in my opinion, as strong, as it should be. It doesn't do nearly as much damage as the mage. It doesn't do nearly as much damage as the... it might do comparable damage to the rogue, but I think it does less damage than the rogue, in my opinion. Unless you spec it certain ways. But fighter is still, even though it's not as strong, it is still very, very fun. It has a decent amount of sustain, especially single target sustain. But later on it's one of those classes that early game it's not as good, but when you hit level 12 and you get access to all of your high tier abilities blood fusion and so on, berserk and so on, you become an absolute fucking powerhouse. So it is super cool to play though all throughout. It does have spin to win. So if you do want to go a whirlwind focused fighter, you absolutely can. It is very fun to play, and it is very high risk, high reward. And you can spec your fighter into more mobility abilities, style abilities. You can spec into attack speed style abilities. You can spec into bigger hits. You can spec into proccing stuns and status effects, and you can spec into sustain. Or you can spec it into lots and lots of bleeds with rupture, hemorrhage, maim, and so on. So you can do all kinds of fun stuff. And also, it is the only class that has two stances. So just like the warrior in World of Warcraft, it is not quite balanced stance, berserker, and tank stance. Forgot what the name was. I just call it tank stance. It's not that. The one you start with is Ferocity. So the more combat momentum you get, the more attack speed you get. And you get combat momentum from attacking enemies and using a couple of different abilities. Like your main strike ability, which is called Overpower. So, then you can upgrade it to doing other things. Then fluidity is the next one you get, and fluidity gives you evasion and disable evasion. So you will evade more, but you'll also, reduce the chance to be hit by disables, reduce the chance to be hit by snares and stuns and so on. The higher combat momentum you go. But if you, swap your stance to go into blue form, you will lose your attack speed. So that is something to keep in mind. And each time you use your overpower, which will give you more momentum, you will also, cause a certain effect with that or your completed weapon combos. Your completed 2 hits or 3 hits or whatever. For Form of Ferocity, it'll cause bleeding. For Form of Fluidity, it'll cause shaken. For Form of Celerity, it'll cause staggered. And staggered can be procced into stuns, which is why this one is very important. The green form will give you movement speed for all the momentum you have. And so you want to be swapping in and out of these stances depending on the needs. And if you're really good at that, you'll be really good at Fighter. And if you're not as good at that, Fighter will feel a bit more lackluster. One thing I want to recommend if you are playing Fighter is an ability called Execute. And why it's not on this list, I don't even know. But there's an ability called Execute, and basically it'll deal more damage. Here, I think I can have footage of it because I go it on every fighter that I play. I have Execute right here. So Execute is right here at the bottom. It's my number 2 ability. Let me see if I can do some combat. I think I was crafting in this video a lot. It's been an hour. Oh my god. So yeah, we're almost done with this guide, the beginner guide. So this is crafting, by the way. Each crafting uses different types of materials, but they iterate on this all the time, so I'm hesitating to make more stuff right now. But just know, you can get any kind of material on any character. You don't have to spec into, just wood crafting or, just masonry or whatever. At least the lower levels, for example, like I'm doing some leather working, even though I'm playing a fighter and I wanted to go mostly blacksmithing. You can still pick up, skins and animal skins and leather and stuff very, very easily. If you look at my bag, I have some herbalism materials, I have some logs, I have some stone, and I have some metal. This is copper. This is what you use to make weapons. And so as a result of that, it's because I've been farming everything on this character. I've been walking around, seeing a cool node, I pick it up. Whatever it is. So you can do that. You can do that. Now, the easiest way to make money is to just cut down trees and sell the logs. You can really easily do that. It's very mindless, but it will give you money pretty darn fast. It is also something I never do because it's fucking mindless. But you can do that because trees are everywhere. And they don't sell for much, but it is consistent, easy money. But I'm mostly only chop down trees or, mine nodes or whatever, for things that I want to build. If I'm making a cool sword or making like a new set of leather pants or, an iron breastplate or whatever. Man, I have not fought any enemies in this video. Oh my god. I'm trying to find some enemies to fight for you guys. I only did crafting in this, I feel like. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this ability, that is the charge. The charge ability is a gap closer. The tank has a smaller version, but the fighter is very mobile. So it has a very, very good charge. It looks cool. It's very, very responsive, very, very fast. And this is one of the ways to build up combat momentum for your character archetype resource for the fighter. Then this ability that I'm using right now is the Execute ability. It does damage based on the enemy's health, so the lower its health, the more damage it does. And there's a way to upgrade it in your skill tree very easily, so it costs 1 point, where the more damage, the more overkill damage that you do, it'll heal you and give you mana back. So it's really good for single target sustain. Bam. So I did that. 175 damage. It had like 120 health left. So because of that, I got 54 health back and 54 mana back. just immediately. And it's a 12-second cooldown, so if you're, doing a lot of combat with multiple enemies, you can, every 12 seconds, get a decent bop of healing and mana regen. So it is very, very good for that. Like I said, I'm not going to go into spoilers too much, but that was one ability I really wanted to highlight, because it is such a vital and important ability for the fighter, and the fighter feels like dog shit if you don't know about this ability. So you can still make the fighter work without it, but you really want that ability. It is one of the best low-level abilities in the game, in my opinion, for sure. For the fighter. So yeah, those are all the class info, pretty much. That's a broad overview. I'll be playing fighter first. I'll be making a cleric. I'll be making a bard, and I'll be making a summoner for sure. And I'm not sure what my 5th character will be. Every character account, I think, can have 5 characters, if I'm not mistaken. So those are my characters. But regardless, I want to hear what you guys think. What do you guys think of this guide? What do you guys think of the information I gave, the broad-based information? Just remember, have fun, explore the world, and follow the quests. The other major thing to remember is that the quests tell you what to do in the actual talking of the NPC. So if you are unsure of where to go or what to do, read the actual quest, because it'll tell you what to do. And it is not something that'll always give you a very clear marker, go exactly here, talk to this exact person, look for this thing on the ground. You kind of have to suss it out. And sometimes you have to use, your noodle a little bit to, like, there's a quest to pick up a badge. And you don't know if the badge belongs to the guy that told you to pick up the badge until when you pick up the badge, you right-click in your inventory and you, like, inspect the badge. So you have to actually inspect it, and you see it belongs to the guy, and then you can give it back to the guy. So sometimes you have to use your context abilities a little bit like that. And it's not an ability on your heart bar. You actually pick up the item and you right-click it sometimes, or you go up to a thing and you right-click it with the requisite thing in your inventory. There's an early game quest to get an etching of a mural, and you get given parchment and like a piece of like chalk or whatever, and you don't really know what to do until you go up to the mural, you find it, and you right-click the mural, and then it'll do the actual like chalking. So it won't tell you to do the chalking until you actually get up to it and you do the requisite thing. So you just have to understand the context and kind of like listen to what the game's doing. Now, if you want detailed quest guides, if there are quests that you think will be useful or whatever, let me know. I'll try to record my early game gameplay so I can, make a small guide for each one of those quests if you want. If that is helpful for you, let me know. If there's anything that I, glanced over in this video and you want, much more detail about, do let me know that as well. But the other thing is, like I said, group up. Make sure you group up as much as you can. This game is so much easier to play in a group than it is to play solo. Make friends. Join a community. Find a node on the map, a city, a township, a little county. You can think of it as a county. And become a citizen of that node. So you can like level it up and level up with it and get extra things from it, be able to use the auction house as a result, and so on and so forth. Otherwise you won't be able to. If you're in the starter towns the entire time, you're going to be missing out on experience, you're going to be missing out on better quests, you're going to be missing out on a whole bunch of stuff. Now definitely get the starter quests in those starter towns, enjoy them, but also don't forget to move on from that when you're done with all those things. And also don't forget, you can come back to finish those early game quests at any point. This game does not lock you out of them as some other games do. So that is something to keep in mind. Anyways, that's all the information I have. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you guys liked the discussion. Give this video a like, a sub, share it with your friends. Anyone who plays Ashes or is interested in Ashes, or just wants a breakdown for the basic information, things a new player should know for Ashes of Creation. Without, even being able to play the game. This is still some useful information that'll give you some context for the various game systems that are in the game. Some details. And I'll catch you guys in, of course, the next video. I'm probably going to work on a class guide. I might make a class guide for Fighter later on. I'll definitely make one for fighter. I'll definitely make one for cleric, and maybe a couple others as well. But thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for being in here. Thank you for making my dream of creating content a reality. It's not my full-time gig by any means, but this is my hope to do. So the fact that you're here and watching this video means a ton to me. I appreciate that. And like I said, catch you guys in the next video.